well, someone has to worry. But does someone? Does it mean that you love your kids more because you're the one that worries? No. Does worrying bring in more money to help you cover the bills? No. Is worrying making that loved one any less sick? No. Is worrying about that project that you're working on helping you get it done faster or more smoothly? No. So we can take off the "we are the worrier" badge because it doesn't make us the better parent, spouse, employee, friend. There is a meat delivery service that has been saving my butt on my son's Little League nights and long schoolwork evenings with my teenager, but it would also take a lot of work out of meal prep too. Just meats. They simplify life without compromising on health. They come seasoned and cooked and ready to be reheated in just 1 to 2 minutes. All you have to do is prepare your sides and you have a full meal on the table. So easy, so delicious, so affordable. These are premium quality and new flavors drop regularly. You cook them in just 1 to 2 weeks, or you can pop them in the freezer for 4 to 6 months. My family has been loving them. Let's be honest. They just make me a happier mom too. You can choose from chicken, pork, or beef options. You're going to love them and the unique sauces that each meat comes with. So head to the link in my show notes for $15 off your order, and that can also be combined with 25% off your first order. You have to try these. Hello, friends, and welcome back to Elevate with Erica. So a couple episodes ago, I had you slap up on that bathroom mirror a post-it that said, "What if it goes really freaking well," right? And we talked about reframing our challenges and rising through them. Well, as I've been working to apply that reframe to my own life for a few different challenges that I'm facing, I still have kept finding myself getting caught in a cycle of worry over the really big things, over the really big challenges throughout the day, especially because one of my challenges has to do with my children. And so while I see that posted a few times a day and I think, what if this all turns out well? And I feel my shoulders lower and I take that deep breath, I'm finding that extremely helpful. But I need to address worry with myself. I want to address how exactly ridiculous it is so that I can minimize it. I want to give it a face and I want to call it out. So I'm reading this book called The Big Leap, and I will link it in the show notes. If you're on YouTube, you can see it. The section on worry was so eye-opening for me. So let's take a look at the reality of worrying. Because the reality is that almost none of our worry thoughts have anything to do with reality. And if you could just get hyper aware for a day, like if you carried a little notepad with you where you have a line down the middle, and on one side, you're going to put the worry thoughts that come across your mind that you can immediately do something about. And then on the other side is worry thoughts that are over something that we have no control over at that time, right? Like they're just noise that blocks our evolution and steals our joy. I guarantee that if you do this, you're going to realize that most, if not all of your worry is over things that you have no control over, at least at that time. Now, in this book, the author actually takes it a little deeper to state that worrying is our way of crimping our flow of positive energy. And it's us almost subconsciously keeping ourselves in our comfort zone in what we know, in a world where we are just waiting for the other shoe to drop or the next bad thing to happen. This won't go well for me. Nothing ever does. Something bad is going to come of this. No way will I have a positive outcome. This is going too smoothly. Something bad is going to happen. He calls worrying an addiction. If it wasn't, it wouldn't be so hard to stop doing. Once in a while, you're actually hit the jackpot, and what you're worrying about will actually happen. And then that's going to feed your addiction to continue worrying. Wow, right? Where he takes this conversation is eye opening. And I highly recommend grabbing this book if you want to learn more about where we subconsciously limit ourselves, because worrying is just one way that we do that. I warn you that it does take an extreme level of self awareness, but I think that if you're tuning in to Elevate with Erica, then you're someone looking to elevate in your own life. And you know that requires you to get uncomfortable. And I feel like you guys are up for that challenge. So I will tell you that I'm more of the worrier in my home. My husband can have 3 house fires going on around him, and he can be totally zeroed in on washing the dishes. And maybe it's because he's a police officer. But I do think that it's also just in general his personality, which is probably why he makes such a great police officer. It's just who he is. And I envy it sometimes. But then are you like me? Like, have you ever said, well, someone has to worry? I've heard often like one of the people in a partnership is the one that feels like, well, someone has to worry. But does it mean that you love your kids more because you're the one that worries? No. Does worrying bring in more money to help you cover the bills? No. Is worrying making that loved one any less sick? No. Is worrying about that project that you're working on helping you get it done faster or more smoothly? No. So we can take off the "we are the worrier" badge, because it doesn't make us the better parent, spouse, employee, friend. Action helps make us better at those things. Action and presence, not worrying. How can you even be fully present with the people that you're in the room with if you're so consumed with worrying? Nothing's wrong with your spouse because they don't worry. You're blocking yourself from being positive, from feeling joy amid challenges, from rising through the challenges that we will inevitably face. So, a quote from the book that I want to share, it's on page 70, and it goes like this. It was very humbling to realize that my worries were there just to make me miserable. It was even more humbling to realize that I was the person who had this finger firmly pressed on the misery button. It was wonderful, though, to discover that I also had the power to quit pressing the button. So, look, here's what I want us to think about today. We are in the challenge. Or if your life is smooth sailing right now, I envy you. The next time you're in a challenge, your worries are just there to make you miserable. That's the face I want you to slap on your worries, a face of misery. And ask yourself, is that the face you want to be in the room with? I mean, let's call it out, right? Let's give it a name. Let's name it misery. For the protection of my family, I can't talk about all of the challenges that I'm facing in my life right now, but I can share about a few of them so we can better grasp what I want us to take away from this episode today. So, my oldest son, my 13-year-old, school is just not his jam, okay? He's just not naturally gifted in that environment. He is a lot of amazing things. He is kind, he is helpful, He's not afraid to work hard outside. He is a great friend. He is a very inclusive person. He's really funny and he's very observant. He is as respectful as a moody 13-year-old boy can possibly be, but he just doesn't thrive in the traditional school environment and format. And I worry constantly about his grades. I have this love hate relationship, some of you parents may know, with this post pandemic ability to see his grades on an app at any given moment. It's called Power School for us here in Maryland. It's got its advantages, but to me, more disadvantages than advantages, at least in our life. I worry as he will be going into high school in the fall how he will stand up to the additional workload and additional pressures. I worry that he will never take accountability for himself in life because it just feels like he doesn't take accountability for his classwork most of the time. But look, what good is that worrying doing me? Is it helping me get him through school? No. Is it making him love school suddenly? Nope. Is it helping me help him? Definitely not. It's leaving me stressed and frustrated. He's still Aaron, and I'm still worry wart mom. But I want to take that badge off, and I want to help you do that. We can take that badge off. We have the power to quit pressing the misery button. I've mentioned before that I'm in the middle of self-publishing my first guided journal. And I have to tell you that self-publishing is not for the weak. I may have slightly underestimated it, but I'm glad I did because it got me on that first step to creating this journal in the first place. But that's for another episode. But I've been getting quite the education over the past week, from formatting requirements resulting in me having to individually edit 426 pages that I thought I was finished working on, to size requirements in order to be able to coil bound the book that resulted in me having to decide how I was going to cut 100 pages and still keep it a 365-day journal. Now I worry how long all these formatting corrections will take me, how I'll get this done, and also plan the workout class that I'll teach Saturday, how I'll get this done and also publish this podcast, how I'll get it done and also ensure that I'm spending quality time with my boys who I share split custody of, how I'll get this done and also help my 13-year-old properly study for his Spanish exam on Monday, how I'll get this done and ensure he gets a passing grade in all his classes, how I'll get this done and celebrate my boys' last day of school with them on Thursday, how I'll get this done so that I can get this published and start seeing a return for all of my time invested, not just in money, but in hearing feedback from people and from giving my pain a purpose. I started this journal last fall. I worry that my draft copy will come back terrible, that things will be cropped off that are important, that colors won't be right, all of the things. I worry that I won't know how to fix it. But what positive action is coming from the worrying? I can't think of a single positive thing. I run off those things that I just did, the things that I'm worrying over, and I just feel more and more tense, more and more misery. And the thing about that is that it can actually start to make you just freeze up, right? Like there's a version of me that could let all that stuff just say, you know what? I can't create this journal. It's too hard. I can't do it. And the product of worrying can then become stagnation. Stagnation on our dreams, our goals, the gifts we've been given to give, our ability to rise through our challenges. We just let the weight of those worries push us down. And the book refers to that as our upper limit problem. We hit that ceiling. We aren't allowing ourselves to push through because we let the worry consume us. The worry keep us in what we know, the struggle. Everything has to be hard, not allowing ourselves to feel joy amid the challenges. But what if we just stop pressing the misery button? What if we, yes, referred to that post it? What if it goes really freaking well, right? But also one step further, saw worrying as us injecting misery into our own lives. Every time we worry, we are taking a hit of misery. Why would we do that intentionally, knowingly? As I said, this book requires you to be really self aware. And that's what I'm asking of you in this episode today, too. If you're making the choice to elevate with me, you may be thinking, it's not that easy to just stop worrying, Erica. And I'm not saying that it is. It's an addiction, it's what you're used to doing. If it wasn't an addiction, you would just be able to stop cold turkey, right? It's not that easy to stop, but it is simple. As simple as an exercise that was given in the book that I thought was a great visualization. It's on page 74. Imagine squeezing a tennis ball in your hand, then releasing the grip and dropping the ball. A lot of people don't realize that they can dismiss worry thoughts just like that. One moment the thoughts have a grip on you, then you suddenly realize it's you who have a grip on them. You release the grip and the thoughts disappear. They come back again and you release them again. And with practice, they disappear and don't come back. If you give your mind a more productive thing to do, we'll get to that in a minute. It's you who has a grip on your worry thoughts. Don't give them the power. Unless you want to continue worrying, the worrying that is consuming you, unless you want to keep your finger on that misery button, then you have to take ownership of that. That was the first step for me. Give your mind a more productive thing to do, he goes on to say, right? So next time you catch yourself worrying, think about something positive. Let it break through the worry. Where could getting on the other side of this challenge elevate your life? What good could come of it, no matter how small? What will it feel like to be on the other side of it? Get off the path of worry and find a new direction, because both roads can lead to the same place, but one is filled with a lot less misery. I think that a lot of our tendencies to worry come from the environment that we are in, or maybe even grew up in. Like, did you see your parents worry a lot? Do you have friends, family, coworkers constantly around you who worry a lot? Because we can start to see this as just normal, right? We see adversity as normal. And if it's not there, then we create it. Everything has to be hard. Life is hard. How many times have you heard people say that? Well, maybe it is, but we don't have to make it harder. Life is also really freaking beautiful. It's not a requirement to worry your way through life. It's not changing anything for the better. And if anything, it can hold you up from doing what will actually change things for the better, which is taking positive action, right? So I hope this episode was eye-opening for you. I hope it was short but power-packed and impactful. I hope you have begun to take your power back by realizing that you do hold the power over your worrying tendencies. And I hope that you will become hyper self-aware and catch yourself in your next worry thoughts. I hope you'll put what we talked about here into practice. I hope you'll take your finger off the misery button. I hope you'll decide to release the tennis ball and drop it. It won't be easy, but you hold the power. And that's pretty damn cool to come to grips with, right? You have the power. And with practice, you'll get better and better at catching yourself, noticing your thoughts and dismissing the ones that are trying to inject you with misery. I'm excited to put this into practice. I hope that you will too. How many worry thoughts do you have in a day? We should be able to try this pretty soon, right? If not today. Visualize squeezing that tennis ball and releasing it, or actually keep a tennis ball on your desk to remind you. The first time you get to try this, I'd love for you to message me and let me know how it worked for you. Message me and let me know what you thought of this episode. It means so much to me when you take the time to share these episodes on social media and with your friends. You have no idea how much every new added listener affects me in this show. So thank you for taking the time to do that. And as always, make sure to go leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And did you know, if you're listening to this on a podcast platform, you can actually text me now. Yep, I've been invited to participate in the new texting option, so you can just go right to the show notes and click the link to text me. Let me know directly your takeaways from today's episode. And when you put this episode into practice, text me or just anything that you want to share with me. It's a cool new way for us to connect, so go try it out. I'll leave you with this. How something ends up never depends on how much you worry about it. Until next episode, friends. E.
If you've been listening to this podcast for a while or receiving my newsletters, then you know I am a big fan of Flowdesk. If you haven't heard of Flowdesk before, it's a beautiful, intuitive email marketing tool that I use to consistently email my list. Before I signed up for Flowdesk, I rarely sent out newsletters, and I wasn't leveraging email marketing to its full potential in my business. I struggled to find a tool that was easy to use with customizable designs that helped me stay true to my brand. But once I decided to move to Flowdesk, the difference it made in my business was huge. Since signing up over 3 years ago, I've sent countless emails. It's become a vital tool for me to market my business and make money. Here are some of the top reasons I love using it. First, it's really intuitive and easy to use. They have tons of beautiful templates that give me a starting point and ensure my emails look great on all devices. I can load my brand elements like my logo, colors, and fonts so that each email looks consistent and on brand. And it's so easy to create subscriber segments through Flowdesk's opt-in forms, which helps me organize my list and send my subscribers hyper-personalized content based on their interests. They also have a brilliant analytics tool, which tells me really useful information about my subscribers and how they're interacting with my emails. There are so many things I love about using Flowdesk, but one of the best parts is that I can have unlimited emails and subscribers for one flat rate forever. If you want to check it out, you can head to my link in the show notes, which will give you 50% off your first year. Flowdesk has definitely been one of the tools that has had the biggest impact on my marketing, and I can't wait for you to check it out.